This is Petare, a slum, home to about 750,000 of Venezuela's poorest people. These locals have little, yet they know of others much worse off. Of children who face starvation if no one helps. So they do, volunteering to cook donated food. It seems incredible in an oil-rich nation such as Venezuela that you would have therapeutic feeding centres, and this is one of dozens just in this one barrio alone. This small bowl of rice and beans is the only meal these children are going to get each day. 3 million Venezuelans have fled this country. Food is rationed and in short supply.
Here, for one to eat, it's become difficult. Sometimes I even can't get food for one.
These slums used to support President Nicolas Maduro, who's blocking aid from being brought in by his rival, Juan Guaido. Guaido is recognised as president by the US and many other nations. Now the barrios are hotbeds of dissent. Marvelis is a soup kitchen volunteer. We meet in secret. Her cousin campaigned against Maduro and paid a heavy price for it. And after he'd returned from an opposition rally, the special forces were looking for him. They'd seen his video, Marvelis says.
He came out with his hands up and they take him up the stairs. You hear a first shot. You hear a first shot and you can hear him pleading with them not to kill him. They go further up and you hear a second shot. One of the neighbours then saw how they put a cloth in his mouth and they killed him. They suffocated him.
Amid widespread criminal murder and political killings, the government has said nothing about Johnny's death. He's become just another reason for Venezuelans to leave.
Venezuela's self-declared President Juan Guaido says he is confident badly needed food and medical supplies will get into his country. But military forces allied with President Nicolas Maduro continue to block a key bridge and prevent the aid from being delivered. Look at this. Now, the aid is coming from Colombia, one of many nations that are backing Guaido in his fight to oust Mr. Maduro from power. CNN's Isa Suarez is in the border town of Cucuta in Colombia. And you've been trying to understand more about the whole aid aspect of this power struggle. It's a very important part of this story because it's a central part of Guaido's strategy. What have you found?
Very, very much so, yeah. Well, let me give you a sense where we are and what we're doing. I tell you, we're on top of 2 trucks, so you can get a bit of perspective. If I can get Jose, our cameraman, just to pan around. This is basically all the media, all waiting for what we've been told with the trucks that left Caracas. They left yesterday. It's about 11 plus hours, and they're making they left Bogota, pardon me, to come all the way here, and we're waiting for them. So that's the aid that we were told will arrive. We've been told it's roughly 2 trucks or so that are coming, making their way from Bogota all the way here. They were supposed to be in here by now, but of course some of these roads are extremely dangerous. Now, give you a sense, where else are we? Just over my right shoulder, Cyril, this is Tienditas Bridge. This is a bridge where Venezuelan government has blocked off. If you remember that shot that we gave you yesterday, that drone shot of 2 blue containers and the orange oil tanker, that's further down. This is one bridge that then separates into 3 small bridges that then once at the other end of Venezuela, it goes together yet again. So this is the bridge that we've been told the aid will be coming in. Questions of how much aid, we do not know. In terms of how long this aid is going to be here, we also don't know. What we do know is that the aid is not staying here. According to the Colombian government, it's going into Venezuela. When I asked the Colombian government, okay, how far in? Are you meaning just over the border? They couldn't give me specifics. But this, to put it into context for our viewers, this is a high-stakes game, and it's the latest chess of the puzzle in many ways, because what they're doing is they're putting pressure on Maduro to either back away and really testing a lot of his forces on the other side. Will they let him through? And if they do, then he looks weakened. And if it doesn't, Does Guaidó look weakened because he does not have control of the situation? So a high-stakes game from both men, and this is the latest piece, the latest move of the chess, Cyril.
Wow. I mean, the stakes are huge, and there's sovereignty involved as well, because Colombia just can't drive into Venezuela and do what it wants in another country. Has there been any sign at all, that perhaps the military would heed Guaido's demand to allow the aid in?
I can tell you from what I've heard from Venezuelans crossing, the younger lieutenants that are near the bridge, the other bridge we've been talking to lots of rounds, the pedestrian bridge. What they are doing is at the end of their shift, they're taking off their uniforms and they're crossing the bridge to buy goods, because remember, they too don't have enough money to feed their families. They too don't have enough money from the Maduro government because of those sanctions that are put in place. So they're making that crossing. So perhaps the young lieutenants will be prepared to turn a blind eye. But will the more senior levels of the military? That is a big question. And that is why we have heard from the U.S. from the U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton, we have heard from Juan Guaidó, we have from certain levels of government appealing, tweeting on social media for really the armed forces to stand on the side of history, to stand on the side of its people, to let that aid in. And some of the tweets we have seen from Guaidó in particular, he's directing the message at the soldiers. Think of your mother, think of your family. Will you deny them food when it arrives? This is going to be a test of the wills, and it will be a test as well for Colombia, of course, who, as you can imagine, won't want to see throngs of people come in here. But one lady told me today that if the aid doesn't go across the border, she's getting together with a group of friends, and if she needs to move those tankers, they will. So this gives you a sense how desperate people are, how soon they want to see movement and change at this border. Cyril?
Yeah, Issa, thank you very much for your reporting. Keep a very close eye, as I know you will, on what happens there, because especially with all the cameras trained on that border crossing, you know that it's going to be high stakes, both for Guaidó to see whether he can deliver on his promise, get the aid to Venezuelans inside the country, and of course for Maduro, who has decided to block that aid for now. Issa Suarez reporting from Cúcuta, Colombia, at the Venezuelan border. Thank you.